Okay, a friend of mine called me and said that he had a clock that he thought just needed oiled. He oiled it and said it still wouldn't run. So he brought it over here, and I'm going to try to find out what's wrong with it. The clock, he just brought me the movement clock that is out of is this regulator. And so it's a time only. It does have the addition of a calendar on it. Anyway, let's just taking a cursory look at this. I look at the that spring. Very dirty, so likely it's fully wound. I think what might be the problem here, at least to begin with, is a spring that's so dirty that it is binding and not releasing the power. Looking deeper into the movement, it's easy to see that this thing is pretty dirty. Really needs to be cleaned. So what we'll do is we'll take it apart, clean it, and then check out its the pivots. And the pivots are so dirty now that wouldn't be any worthwhile doing it until this is clean. So we're just going to take it apart and clean it. And of course, the first thing we need to do is let down that spring. Okay, so to let the spring down, we need a spring clamp. And we're going to run that in here. Okay, this is it's a New Haven. So interestingly, there's a separate post up in here. Normally you'd think about the spring being attached, the loop end of the spring being attached to one of the bottom pillars. This is on a separate pillar up here. So we have to run this in just a little bit differently. Okay, get that in there. And I checked this. This key is a number 6. The click is right here. So what I'm going to do is let that down. I'm doing a click. Start letting it down. A clamp. Get the clamp back somewhere in the middle. Okay. And now we can let that down the rest of the way. And we do that by releasing the tension on the spring by slightly winding it, taking the click out of the click spring and letting that all the way down. Now the power is off the spring, so we can safely take this apart. Since this is time only, there's not a lot of gears involved. You got the main gear, second wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, and escape wheel. So in essence, we have an 8-day movement. And we're going to start taking the parts off. We'll take this stuff off the front here. We've got to remove a washer, which appears to be on upside down anyway. And that washer is held on with a pin to the shaft. take, looks like that pin goes out that way. You want to take off that washer, which now allows us to take off, what's this? Oh, that's the grommet from the center hole. Okay, it allows us to take off the calendar wheel. This is then the wheel that runs the calendar. It runs off the hour tube. There's a little pin on it, and that pin advances the thing once a day. We take that off. We take the hour tube off. Well, maybe. Wow, that's really jammed. That might be part of what's causing the problem too. It feels awfully tight. Huh. Yeah, that should come off. Let's go ahead and remove the suspension spring. Should come off. They should. Looks like that's been mashed together. See about separating that crack a little bit. Take that off. Okay, there's our. Whew. Okay. Okay, get that off. Then we should look. Oh, here's another part of the problem why it didn't run. If you look, I can raise this a bit. Let me bring this over here and show you what's going on here. Looking right here, the anchor crutch slides onto a pin. That pin is supposed to be held in place by this little tab that keeps it from sliding off. Now that was slid down in here and against the crutch. Alright, so that's putting pressure on that, creating a lot of friction. That may be exactly why the thing didn't run. But this needs cleaned anyway. We'll take it apart. Okay. Anyway, let's get this piece out. That's the... Right, here we go. So we're going to remove or lift this off of the crutch so that the anchor can be pulled out. And when I look at that thing, you see the crud that's on that anchor, plus some hair, a lot of dirt. Yeah, this really is in desperate need of being cleaned. This gear is what runs the calendar, and that's on the hour tube. That's where the hour hand goes, and that's where the minute hand goes. And the motion works is inside. Second wheel drives the motion works. And there's interesting, there's a little tiny gear here that is an interesting way this is set up as far as the actual motion works. You got the second wheel driving the hour tube, and then that goes to a little gear here. This is the intermediate gear. They hook to on an arbor to this back here, which runs the minute. Okay, well, we've got this ready to take apart now, so we'll just remove these 5 nuts. Again, nut driver. Interesting that there's one of the nuts that's missing off the plate we'll have to replace. We'll take these off. None of these were tight. Huh. That's interesting. All 4 these nuts were loose. Okay. Yeah, that spring was completely jammed up. Still with some power left in it. It was just literally gummed up so bad it wouldn't let go. So we'll just have to let this run down now. Bad situation. Okay. And, yeah, let's see. That should do it. Get the rest of the power off. Wow. So 1 nut was missing. Alright, we can take these out now. The escape wheel is here. Okay. Man, it's really oily. This has been bent to the point that this is bent. Can't get the gear out. Man. Could be another reason it wasn't running right. Okay. Here's what I was talking about, the unusual kind of intermediate wheel situation here is actually, here's the hour, 2 minute. There's a tension spring here, or tension washer, that acts as a clutch, so that slips on that thing, but still has it. It needs also to be kind of cleaned and adjusted. Alright, here's the intermediate wheel right there. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 gears. And then the spring. Wow. Come on. Comes off of that center. Whew. Yeah, this is really, really oily and dirty. Okay, we need to remove the spring from the wheel so we can clean that thing. We're going to put this in here. And this will go, the loop will go here. This slides in here. And put this into the key. Maybe. There we go. Nice and tight, nice and tight. Tighten this down. Okay. Now we are going to let the spring down. That's weird. There we go, this way. Okay. Let the spring down. Stand off to the side. Okay, we take the top off. Reverse this. Put this down. All the power is now off that spring. Now we can take this out now. And we will take this off of the gear and clean the spring now. Okay. Yeah, many times we just turn this backwards. Try to release that. Okay, where are we here? Look with my magnifier, can't see in there. Okay. There it goes. Okay, now we've got this off. All that oil. Man, there's a lot of oil on that. And then I can clean this spring as well. And re-lube it. Yeah, it feels, the spring is really dry. Really dry. I think the loops were just not moving right. Several things were wrong, but yeah, that's really dry. So now what we'll do is we'll throw these all into the ultrasonic and give it a bath. Before I put these into ultrasonic, I am going to wipe off excess oil. Okay. So that doesn't dirty up any of this garbage that's here. Let's see. You can see all the oil that's in here. We're going to just wipe off the dirt and oil we can wipe off. Makes the fluid last longer. Cleaning fluid. And do this while I heat up the... If I was running a shop, that ultrasonic would be ready to go, but I don't use it that often, so I gotta turn it on and let it heat up. So we're just gonna wipe this off while it's heating up. Get the garbage off of this as much as we can. Oh man. Yeah, that's really dirty. I'll take a toothpick and stick in some of those holes just to loosen the dirt up. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to get the dirt off. Get some of it out of there anyway. It's caked on there pretty good. And we run it through the ultrasonic cleaner, and then we will hand clean after it goes through that. So just take a look at some of the grime that's on there. Like here, you look at these pivot holes. Let's see, I gotta turn that a little bit. Yeah, that makes more sense to me. Okay. Anyway, we're looking at these pivot holes have all kinds of garbage and oil and grease and slime. Okay. Let's wipe off the excess. Let's see, some of it is on there so hard that I'd never clean that without having it in the ultrasonic cleaner. Get this front off and all the excess off that I can. This is a New Haven movement. Wow. Kind of messy. Okay. There you see the stamps. Oh. We will back it off a little bit. Let's get the excess junk off. See what it looks like after. You see all the gunk that's in there. Pretty nasty. Maybe before I stick that in there, let me get a brush here. Okay. I'll just do a little bit of this. Remove that excess grease. That's pretty bad. Okay. The excess oil off. Yeah, this has been, I think somebody sprayed this at one time or other with some kind of oil, thinking that would make it work. It's just almost always detrimental. Just wipe off this excess oil. No sense contaminating my cleaning fluid. And while I'm at it, I'll take a look at the, okay, looking at the lantern pinions. Let's see what they look like. Dirty, but no wear. Well, that'll be all right. Okay. Very, very dirty. But again, no wear. good. Look at this is the escape wheel. See, it's dirty, it's got a lot of fuzz and grease. Take the grease off as much as we can. I'll let the ultrasonic cleaner do the rest. Check it now real quick. Don't see any damaged teeth. Just dirty. Just dirty. The gear. Wipe off the gunk. Oof. Let's get that excess oil off. Little calendar wheel. One that trips the calendar. There's the actual. Let's see, that's a grommet. It should be in the dial. That's a grommet for the dial. This is the gear that actually calendar hand goes on and it gets tripped. Okay. Look at the center. Oh man, excess oil. Very oily. And I might, take that apart too. This is that center. I feel, that's pretty dirty. I think I'll take that wire out of there and take this tension washer off. It comes out the other way. Yeah. Oh. Okay, finally got that out. Okay, now takes the tension washer and this gear. Let's make sure no cracks in that, because sometimes that be a problem. Okay. Shouldn't be any oil in there. Make that slip like it shouldn't. Defeating the purpose of the Okay, here's the intermediate wheel. Man, look at the grime on that. That's just, it's unbelievable. How much dirt there is on that. Okay. Anyway, that in there. Looking at the crutch. Okay, there's no, a little bit of wear, but not much. It should work just fine. Very little wear. I'll probably polish it up a little bit. Little tiny bit of wear. You can see on that, you see just a little bit of a mark in wear. We can polish that out. Suspension spring, kind of bent. See if we can straighten it without problem. I don't want to have to replace it. See how that one goes. Got our washer. Whew. Man. And here's the calendar gear. Holds the. Alright. Wow. And then we got. This is the lever that is supposed to go here, so that trips kind of locks in the calendar, and I have to find another nut, so we're missing one nut. Okay, there we are, all wiped off, ready to go into the ultrasonic cleaner, and we'll be back with you when I do that. Okay, here's the parts are still wet after 30 minutes in the ultrasonic. Everything looks a whole heck of a lot better. And we'll dry them off now. Just get this. Make sure you get all everything off of it that should be off of it. All the dirt. And a little bit on the back of it. Click. Okay, that looks good. I can take this. See anything on it? Why? Make a little. We still have to polish pivots and all that stuff, but. Okay. And then, yeah, we got some pivot polishing to do. I don't know if, let's see if we can see this. It's kind of scored. We'll take care of that when we polish pivots. So we make sure we get all the water off, clean things up. Use a little brush to clean up the lantern pinions. Check the status of them, look okay. A little quadruple aught steel wool. And a brush if we go along between all the teeth. Make sure we get everything out of there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So we'll just continue through all of these pieces, cleaning them up. I get to examining this wheel that runs the calendar. I can see some teeth, definitely bent. This has been taking a beating for some reason or other. So I'm going to have to work and carefully straighten that all out. Take a look at here. There we go, right there, see? One bent way out of shape. A few more kind of twisted. We'll work with a pair of pliers and straighten those out. Okay, that's much better. Got them now where they're all pretty much squared away. Okay, done with that. First time I've seen this on a stamped wheel. It's actually flashing left over from the press. Look at the edges on that. You look from this side, you don't see it as much. You sure didn't do a very good job of cleaning these up. Anyway. Okay, there are parts now clean. And including the spring. Spring's now clean. All the parts are clean, so now the next thing we'll do is we'll polish pivots. You can see that this is got some scratches in it. So we're going to take a, let's see, let me get a number 4 here. Try number 4 and a number 2 and 6. Okay. according to deeper. You have to go with it. Okay, put the run gears in. 2, 4, 5, and yeah, there's some slop in it. Little bit of looseness. Not all that bad. Backside. A little bit of looseness, but really doesn't need to be bushed. I think it'll run fine. So we'll put it back together and see how it goes. Alright. The winder on this is a little too loose. I don't like that. Tighten this up because that's just too wobbly. That's good enough. Okay, here's the new one. Here's the old one. And I'll put it in. Okay, that spreads that out in there. Now it's in tight. Just need to file that off and flatten it, and then broach that out until that goes in. Okay. There we go. That's better. All right. Now that turns nicely. And if we look at this, it doesn't wobble around anymore. So, nice and shake. Everything works fine. So that replaced that bushing. Okay, time to put this back together. This gear goes on here, and we put on the tension washer. like so. And I'm going to stick a pin in here. Okay, good enough on the spring. Get all the way into the center. Okay, there we go. All right, that's good. Okay. And you know, now looking at the main wheel, that it has to wind this way. Because that's the way the click is. Okay. So if it winds this way, then we've got to make sure that we put that in so that it will catch the hook in that direction. Okay, and that should wind that way. Oh, forgot. I'll put a plate on there first. This plate goes on there. And then the spring. Okay, now we're going to use the spring winder to wind this back up. The loop goes on here. Goes in that end. That goes in there. Okay, and we have a clamp ready. Okay, clamp is on. Okay, reverse the direction. Maybe. I got the. Come on. Ah, there we go. And we start letting this back down until it's captured by the clamp. Okay, and now it's safe to take out. And that's stuck. Come on, get that loop off of there. There we go. Okay. spring, back wound, the main wheel ready to go in. Okay, turn this around, and I'll take a rag, make sure that any excess oil is off of there. And she is now ready to go back into movement. Alrighty. Now this is unusual because this has a loop that goes on here. Rats, now what? Spam. Garbage call. Okay, it's in there. Second wheel. I've got to get that clamp. I put it back in the spring winder and get that clamp out of the way. Okay. Now we can get that second wheel in there. There we go. Oh, this one or this one? Let's see. Crap. There. This one goes in here. Okay. And then we have got, right, that one's outside. Okay, this one's outside. That's it. The escape wheel goes in here. Let's see, all those been polished, right? Yeah. Alrighty. And we'll be back with you after we get these folks. I don't want to get them. Yeah, I gotta have some glasses here. Come on. Alright, you get in here. Okay, and then we have this one. Alright. Let's start it here. Everything's in there. Okay, that's in, that's in, that's in. Everything's in. Okay. one more nut that was missing, and that's pretty much the running stuff. Okay, I don't have any, whatever size these nuts are, don't have one that fits here, so I'm going to have to rethread another nut and to make it fit here. So I'll be back after that. Okay. I found one steel one that fits, so not original or anything, but that goes there. All right. So then we have to put this back on here. Okay, that goes there. Then there's a, this goes on here. And this washer goes on there. And then we got to put a pin in there. And this side. Okay. Where's my cutters? Right there. Okay, that should do it. Okay, that's got the calendar wheel on, and then what holds the calendar wheel in place is this little clip, and I don't know what the heck happened to this thing, but it's got to go in here. In the teeth, so that when that's turned, and it feels awfully tight. That seems awfully tight. Yeah, that's so tight that that's going to stop the clock. I have to mess with that for a minute. I had to take those things back off because the verge or the pallets have to go on first. The anchor has to go on first. Alright, we got that on. How in the hell? Okay, this goes on. Okay. Goes on. Move that. And this goes on. Okay. That little spring has to be in between the teeth. Okay, then we can put this on. Alrighty. That looks pretty good. That stupid suspension spring has got to go in first too. This is a god awful. Huh. Alright, this has to have a little piece of wire put in it too. Just a loop of wire. Let's see what we got here. I think I'll get a man. Got it kind of boogered up. See if I can get a piece of brass wire. Okay, just need a little loop of wire put in it so that it won't slip through the slot. Okay, gotta get that in slide out. And we can put this back on. Okay. And we're all set. Got her back together. Alright, I finally got her all back together. It's a mess. You got to remember, I had to take it apart again. You got to put this over the suspension spring. Put the suspension spring and the crutch or anchor in before you put on these. And now we're all set. This works just right. I think that was probably one of the things that was keeping it from running. A lot of things wrong with this one. Now all we got to do is oil it. Okay, so we got this little puppy. And we're going to, well, hang on, I'll move this over this way so it's not in my, okay. Is that better? Put a drop of oil right there. And each of the pivot holes. Okay, that's good oil. Okay. Now I'm going to go in the back here. Okay, let's see if we can get in and get some on those pallets. This will drop there. Drop there. And hopefully that you get her going. And we'll set it up, see if it runs. Not the right pendulum, but it's running. Let her run, see how she goes, and I'll return it.